So today we're going to be starting a brand new project, and we're going to be starting at the very, very beginning. So we're going to be covering a lot of file management to start with so that we can stay organized throughout the project, which is very, very important. You don't want to be losing any files. So we'll be starting with that, then moving on to inspiration and ideas, where you can go to look for ideas and how to pick a project that is going to be both fun, engaging, and just keep you entertained throughout the entire process, because it can get a little stale sometimes. So you need to pick a good one. And then after that, we're going to be gathering some reference. We're going to be talking about what makes good reference, bad reference. And we're not going to gather too much at the start because obviously as the piece progresses, you're going to be naturally just gathering reference anyway. So we're just going to start very bare bones, the essentials. And then if we have time, we're going to jump into Zbrush and start playing around with some Zspheres. So I hope you're excited. Let's get started. If I want to get inspired, I tend to look at what is just on ArtStation. A lot of this comes quite naturally to me now, in terms of picking a project, because I've been doing it so long and so many times I kind of know what works for me. If you know what kind of project you want to do, say you want to do like a sci-fi character, then obviously you can just type in sci-fi character and then all of these will come up down below. But yeah, obviously you don't want to copy exactly what someone has done. But what I like to do is sort of, if we look at Blue, we'll just call him Blue. I've actually seen this guy's work a few times. He's, well, the work speaks for itself, doesn't it really? Obviously this is from Baldur's Gate, but you can sort of pick stuff you like. So if you like a headpiece thing, you can take that idea and then create your own ideas and generate maybe different concepts of different headpieces. And it's about taking standout pieces that you like and putting stuff together to see what works. But basically, long story short, pick a genre and then narrow it down. So do you want to do a creature or a human? So let's start with a genre, sci-fi, and then you decide, do I want to do a creature or a human? Okay, is it going to be stylistic or realistic? And then you sort of want to start filtering your way down until you've got something. Rule of thumb, if you are doing someone else's work, like if you found a concept by an artist and you want to create that, that's fine. Generally, I like to ask first, just because it's a good etiquette to do that. So definitely reach out. So this came up on my feed the other day. Bit of a throwback. This was from an episode of Doctor Who way back when. But I really like the concept of it. So like if I could do like a female type character that is very sort of human from the waist up, but then have this really gross looking like spider stuff going on below that, I thought that would be really, really cool. Slight issue is I find spiders disgusting. I hate them. I'm super arachnophobic, but I love this idea. So I really, sorry, I've just found this reference. This is gonna be super helpful. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this project because I think it'll be challenging and fun, because you've got the human aspect, which I really, really enjoy. A lot of like human anatomy focused from the waist up, but then you've also got this creature monster stuff that gives you a lot of freedom from the waist down. And you can even play around with the face quite a lot as well. So yeah, I think mixing and matching those two things could be really, really fun and interesting. So I've chucked a few references into PureRef. If you don't know what PureRef is, go and get it. It's super helpful. It's completely free. You just drag and drop your images onto this ever-expanding board. And this can just stay over the top of any software. So I chuck it down in the corner when I'm in Zbrush, and I can just look over, have a glance, and you can sort of organize as well. So this is the main concept here. It made me think a lot of Devora from Mortal Kombat. The main thing that I really, really like about the face is the eyes. I think those are super cool, and obviously Devora has a few of those going on as well. So I've got spider eyes down here. I found this really cool post on Reddit, which is basically the different layout of spider eyes, that sort of the different formations that they can have. So that gives us a lot of sort of ideas on the placement on the face. And then I've got the legs down here and how they work. Obviously, I will add to all of this. This is going to expand naturally as we progress further through the project, but this is just our starting ideas, really. So yeah, this will expand over time. If you're not looking at reference, your work isn't going to be anywhere near as good as it could be. So file management is just as important. Like, if you're not staying organized and you're constantly losing stuff and misplacing files and you're saving stuff to God knows where, it's going to slow you down, and you want to be managing your time effectively. So always keep your files organized. Be meticulous about it. And yeah, if you're uploading to like Google Drive, the same again. That way you can just, if you're backing up, it makes it so much easier to just drag and drop the folder. And it just keeps everything in one place. So yeah, stay on top of your folders. So control your files, don't let them control you. That's my advice. So we have time to jump into Zbrush and set up some files. So the way that I am going to start this project is with Zspheres. So if you go into, I'm just going to go into Lightbox. Sorry, I have an ultra wide monitor, so my aspect ratio might be a little off. So I'll just let you know where I'm going. So in Lightbox, you go to Mannequin, and then I am going to grab the human female mannequin project so that we have this. So now that we have the female Z-Sphere project open, I'm going to save the tool. I personally prefer to save the tool opposed to the document because it keeps the file size lower, and it's just what I've always done personally. So yeah, once that's open, just click Save As, and then obviously I've saved it in my relevant location, which is under Projects, Spider Creature, Z Files, and then I've named it Spider Creature version 001. That way we know where the ZBrush knows where to send the files, where to save them, and then you, I believe, can just click Save Next and it will just create a version. So that's how we'll be saving it going forwards. If you haven't used Zspheres before, they're a little strange. Obviously, so R on your keyboard is rotate. It is mirrored by default. R is rotate. E on a joint will scale the joint. So E is scale. Obviously, you can scale the limbs itself or scale the joints. And then W is move. So you can move the joints. I try to avoid using the move, plainly because it's going to mess with the proportions. So I try to do everything using, the scale and the rotate. That way you're not messing with the proportions as much. Right, so we're going to open our reference. Right, so because we have that spider character and we know that we're going to be starting from the waist down, we can actually go ahead and delete these legs because we're not going to need them. So if you hold Alt on your keyboard with, I think it is, yes, so if you press Q and then hold in the Alt button and click, it's going to start deleting these Z-spheres until you're finally left with, do we want to keep, no, we want to get rid of that one as well, until we've got this. So Obviously, we're not going to need anything from the waist down, human-wise, so we are left with that. And I've just given the arms some space there because we are going to be sculpting with symmetry on for the first part. So next, I'm just looking at this shape here because I believe that if we grab this and zoom in a little bit, that this is going to be sort of, so that part there, like I want to say her tummy, this part here is this little bit. But then underneath we got this big giant ball where all of the legs are coming from. So we are going to create that first. So if you press Q, and I'm going to look at the bottom of that little lump there, and we're just going to create a big one there. And then I am actually going to move that one just sort of there. So by adding a couple more Z-spheres, we can get to somewhere like this, and this is looking a little closer to the style that we want. You've got obviously this sort of, worm-like sort of tube that's sort of going to be encompassing and sort of hosting the human aspect of the creature, and the legs are going to stem from around here with a couple coming from the back. So what we need to do now is gather some more reference for some spiders and the way that the legs fit into place. So I have gathered a few more pieces of reference, and one thing that immediately stood out to me that I wouldn't have picked up on if I didn't get reference is none of the legs come from this big back bit here. So anything on this back bit here, I can't remember what it's called, but it's where the web is spun. No legs come from there. It comes entirely from this part here. We're going to need to do 4 legs on each side for a total of 8 legs coming out from this part here. And you got 2 front ones and then 2 back ones. And the most front and the most back are obviously going to be the longest of the bunch. So we are going to put those in. So I don't have loads of room here. So we've got a couple of options. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first initially pull these out. So for now, we're just going to pull them out just like that. Just so that we can kind of see where we are going. I'm going to pull these ones forward and then these ones back. And we're going to look at the top view. So I think these ones need to come back quite a lot. We're going to rotate them as well if we can. Perfect. So this, like I said in my previous videos, this is going to look ugly for a very long time. But that's okay. We're not trying to make it look pretty. We're just trying to get the forms in there that we need and the shapes that we need. I do think I'm going to go with, just by looking at this, it looks a little strange. But I do think that I want to on there. Maybe on the sort of underside there. So now that we've got those, we're going to just add the correct amount of joints to them. So if I get my reference, you can see how many I want to say joints that they have. We've got them color coded here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you got about 4. You can see on here as well. You can count them on here. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 for the foot. That's 4. So if we press Q, not A, Q, and then add, so that's 1. It's 1, 2, and then 1 more, that is 4 there. So now comes the exciting part. We can start to pose it and get it into a sort of reasonable sort of stance so that we can sort of start to see what the creature is going to look like and how we're going to go about sculpting it. So we will start with these smaller ones here. With these appendages, the legs and these little stabby things, I am using the W key to just sort of move them and position them correctly. But everything up here, I am using strictly rotate and scale. So combination of rotate, move, and scale, and obviously looking at our reference. I can see that that first appendage tends to go up. So that's why I've positioned that up. And I'm just sort of looking to see what the most appealing look is. That looks good, but I want it to stand quite tall and off the ground, so we're just going to scale these up a little bit. So if we press the E key and then scale that up, you obviously do want to pay attention to where the floor is, which is why I've got it turned on, so that I can see that all of these legs are standing on the same point, because you want to be thinking about like support and how the model is like weighted, because the last thing you want is to get to print and then realize it's top heavy and it's falling. It's just falling forward every time you stand it up. So this is stuff that we want to think about very early on. So again, this last leg isn't going to be as big as the others, because it doesn't have as far to reach. So I'm going to scale it down a little bit. Just the thickness. You can always go to, in the deformation panel, inflate. If I think that, if I press A and I'm like, oh, all the legs need to be thicker, I can mask everything else and then just inflate it. Because obviously, especially if you're printing smaller, you don't want it to be too thin. Otherwise, the model will just keep failing at print and it will just break. So inflate is super, super helpful. Okay, so we have all of our legs in, and this is everything that we're going to need, I think. So if we press A, we can see like a preview of the mesh. And it's looking pretty good. A couple of things that I might do in the meantime, just while I'm here. I'll thicken out some of the limbs and position them so that we get some interesting shapes and interesting poses. I'll be focusing on silhouette a lot, so using this in the top hand corner. This is key. When you're trying to make a nice pose, obviously this isn't going to be the final pose, but something appealing just to get some of the ideas generating, you want to be looking at this. This is your silhouette. This is going to be everything that your statue reads as. It helps so much with making sure that everything looks correct. So as you can see, that is starting to look very bug-like, which is what we want. So yeah, next episode is when everything really, really kicks off. So make sure that you guys are subscribed and you stick around for that episode. It's going to be lots and lots of fun. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. My socials, as always, are going to be in the description below as well. So if you want to follow me on my Instagram, TikTok, and all of that sort of stuff, that's where I'll be pushing out a lot of my short form content. So definitely follow me over there. Also, down in the description will be my Cults store page if you want to support me in what I'm doing. It'll go a long way. You can purchase any of my models down there. They're only a couple of quid, but it really, really helps out. So consider picking one up for you to print at home. So that is it from me today. I will see you guys very, very shortly. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.